can name the strength and quality of the team that you've named for semi-final at this stage of the season?
Yeah, no, I think it's, as we know that the season is long, there's lots of twists and turns. You think back to, when we start in pre-season, during the summer, like a lot of teams, obviously, and players come in at different stages. We had a very, very tricky period around Christmas, as we well remember. And you just had to battle your way through that period. But to be at this point in the season where we are now, and generally the health of the squad is pretty good. We've got a few guys. Tommy O'Brien's unfortunately picked up an injury this week in training, which will keep him out unfortunately for a while. But yeah, the huge amount of work has gone in terms of the work behind the scenes with the backroom team, the planning, taking care of guys, players being very diligent in terms of them looking after themselves well, and us using plenty of players during the course of the season as well. So yeah, anyway, we are where we are now. Amazing to be here at the Aviva for a semi-final, and everyone's just excited to get going. It's a very quick turnaround if you think from a quarter-final to a semi-final. But it actually, there's parts of the week are going quite slowly as well. It's almost like we just want to get out there and play the game. So huge credit to Claire and everyone in the ticket office. They've managed to get close to 40,000 tickets sold already. So hopefully we'll push beyond that over the next 24 hours. And we'll get that Sea of Blue here, which is, I think, what everyone's really craved, I think, involved in the team, because we in the situation in the last couple of seasons, playing these big playoff games in Europe, where we haven't had any supporters at all. So to be at this stage of the competition, a semi-final here at the Aviva, it's just, we'd like to be able to press fast forward now and get into the action now, because it's just a very, very exciting time now for us.
What have your impressions been of Toulouse in the last number of weeks, particularly?
Well, they have the ability just to turn it on into this time of the season. They play that there's it's like there's two different styles. Like they have the pressure game where they tighten things up to keep the game very, very tight. They have the ability to open up in moments during the course of the game as well with some of the players that they have. It's been pretty well documented. Like and you've seen some of their individuals, like the big seasons that they've had, not just with Toulouse but also with France, and they've a huge amount of experience in the team now that have produced on the big days during the course of Six Nations. Even you saw during November Internationals as well. So they're a very, very good team, and they've have a good chunk of that France squad, as you know. But they've also got a lot of very experienced foreign players in there as well. So it's a dangerous blend that they have. So yeah, it's a great challenge for our guys. They're the 5 times champions. They're the current champions. They're the top 14 champions. They're the the Grand Slam winning group of players that they have as well. So, but that's what our guys wanted. They want to be up against this type of team at this stage of the tournament. And yeah, it's just, that's what I mean about it's just we're waiting now, and everyone just wants to get into the game at this point. So yeah, from our point of view, there was some good parts in our performance last week. There's lots of things that we can get better at, and that's what we've tried to focus on this week as a group. So, as I said, it's just want to get going now.
How important is that you manage the occasion and indeed, like the referee, and you kind of adapt to what's going on?
Yeah, that's always crucial. Yeah, exactly. What did the opposition try to do to us? When we turned up at Welford Road last week, I think we had a fair idea what was coming, and our guys, I think they dealt with it pretty well, particularly in the first half, as I said. Second half, not so well. We need to see how Toulouse approached the game. Obviously we've seen how they've played against Munster. They played a strong territory game, early in the game. Munster were firing into everything, as you'd expect. Again, that's what we want our guys to do as well. For us to be able to try and impose our game on Toulouse is the bits that we've really focused on this week, off the back of last week in particular. And that's both sides of the ball, from an attack point of view and defensively as well. So what Toulouse give us in terms of the pictures that they show us. And again, how they're attacking, how they're defending. So I'll be curious to see. They have traditionally in some of these playoff games played quite tight, and not given too much away and wait for the game to break up later on in the game. So we'll see in terms of the type of mindset that they have. So, but we have to be able to adapt again. Referee conditions, as you point out as well. Hopefully, it looks like it's going to be a good day here. Another reason for people to, if you're on the fence about coming to the game, get out, support the team. Would be great to have you here. So yeah, no, as I said, it's you got to be able to adapt on the day, and see what are the opposition thrown at us, and also again the conditions and the referee and all those external factors.
Good man, thank you.
Joe Cook. How you doing, how are things?
Good.
Just picking up on Toulouse point, after going to extra time against Munster last week and then penalties and travelling here 2 weekends in a row, how much of an element of fatigue will play a part in this game, and what can you do to exacerbate that or exploit it?
How much fatigue is there? I don't know. Is the honest answer. Does it take a bit of a toll? They're used to the grind of top 14 anyway, week on week. So it's the size of the game. Yeah, and we'll wait and see. Like, it's not something that we can. It's something that we will rely on ourselves. Is it their fatigue or the opposition's fatigue? For us, we just want to be able to impose our game regardless of what the opposition has done the week before. So. We've tried to get that balance between having some intensity in our training this week. Again, recover from coming back. I know it's a short flight. We're back late on Saturday night, but it's just managing the group well this week. We've only one change to 23. Their 23 is reasonably settled as well. They've a couple of changes that they've made to freshen things up. I know they picked up a couple of knocks in the backs last week. So yeah, it's just trying to you've got to be able to, going back to that point originally, we've got to be able to impose our game, and that's both sides of our game. So when we have the ball and when we don't have the ball, and when you're here at the Aviva, there's a certain familiarity for our guys here. You can't rely on that again. The crowd support, it feeds into the energy of the team. So for us to deliver that type of performance, which brings a lot of energy and intent to our play, that's the things that we've tried to focus on this week. So, but Toulouse are again usually experienced teams. They're a usually experienced team, and they'll be trying to find ways how to disrupt our flow. We've discussed certain things that they may do, but again, we have to be able to be alert to the things that they're trying to impose upon us. So it's a fascinating challenge. They're a great team. We watched on with great interest last year. Obviously, we got knocked out, as you know, in the semi-final against La Rochelle, and we watched Toulouse go on to beat La Rochelle twice, not just in the final of Europe, but in the final of top 14 as well. So again, they were different types of games. But yeah, no, it's a fascinating challenge. But we've just a huge amount of respect for them as a team. And we can't. We're just excited to get going at this point. We're just dying for kick-off. It's this calm piece. As I said, it's a short turnaround from quarter to semi, but let's get it on now. Really, is what we're excited about, and just rip into the challenge. It's rip into the challenge of playing against the top team of Europe over the last 25 years of the competition. So it doesn't get much better really. So as I said, we're excited to get going.
Jensen Gibson Park is particularly the man of the match, outstanding performance. How do you think he'll measure up against Antoine Dupont tomorrow?
Yeah, it's a very interesting battle. Yeah, because if you think back to the Six Nations and Ireland's away against France, and the start of the game, Dupont takes a quick throw in, France go wide, and then they come back, get their hands through the tackle, and go on to score right at the very, very start of the game. And you can see the influence of some of those Toulouse players that have in France. But it's the atmosphere, players going away to Paris. It was such a big occasion, if you remember. But the start of the game, it was really stuck in my mind. So for us, you know, like is in both teams, I think want to play like that. Leinster would have probably a similar mindset. You know, obviously France and Toulouse similar mindset as well. So it's that's why I talk about that alert piece. Because you know Dupont is a very instinctive player. You know, you give him half a gap, he'll tend to go through because he's very, very strong as well. But Jemison is a very instinctive player also. So it's a great matchup between the two of those players. They played against each other during the Six Nations, so hopefully Leinster have a bit more success over Toulouse than Ireland v France. But yeah, no, it's a hugely exciting challenge again for our guys, because I think there was plenty of things that they learned from that day as well, that will hopefully stand them in good stead for the game tomorrow.
Yeah, just on the back of Joe's question there, Heilio, just in relation to Anton Dupont, how important is it for the guys to keep him quiet tomorrow?
Very important, yeah.
Focus on one player, but
Yeah, like it is. It is dangerous to focus on just one player, yeah, because they have a multitude of threats to lose. But yeah, if you switch off for a second, you know, like he's very dangerous in terms of his own running game, so his ability to break. But it's also so, you know, if you get too sat down by him, like, you know, if there's other players, they have the ability to make breaks out wider, and his support lines on the inside is very, very dangerous. So that making sure we've got guys that are always constantly tracking back on the inside, because he's so dangerous in terms of just being on someone's shoulder, balls back on the inside all the time. So he's a constant threat. Even just the penalty shootout threat is not so much we can do about that. But it just shows you in terms of his composure to his game as well that he has. So yeah, no, very much he's been the form player in Europe for the last 3 or 4 seasons probably. We were one of the teams that saw him first when he was playing for Cast as a 17-year-old. So he's had an amazing rise in the game, and yeah. But as I said, it's a great challenge for our players to be up against the calibre and quality players that Toulouse have, not just Dupont, but all across their team.
just one for me, 3 years since Leinster made the European final. What would it mean to make it now tomorrow and in front of the home crowd?
Well, it'd be amazing, yeah. For us, it's just, you know, trying to focus on what we do and what makes us good. You know, what makes us tick as a team. That's the important piece for us now. So, players had a run out there this morning. It's just going home now, resting up, and you know, it's building into that game mode now. So, and that's the focus. And you know, we'll see where we are after the 80 minutes. Hopefully, it'll be done and dusted at 80. But if it has to go to the 100 minutes again, it's adapting to the game, the way it is, the way it unfolds, things we talk about. So obviously we saw it here. You know, we discussed it in the lead into the quarterfinals as well ourselves. You know, just the possibilities and all the different scenarios that play out during the course of a game. So that's just goes into the performance part. But yeah, it'll be amazing to get through. But it'll be a huge challenge to do that.